I'm going to show you how to draw kind of the simple little shape of a winter bird. And then I'll show you how to paint it in another video. But this is a good way to get started. I'm working on square paper, but you can work on any shape of paper. Yours can be rectangular. I'm going to start with the wing on this bird, this teardrop shape. So I'm going to kind of come up and around and just make a nice little teardrop shape. So that's our wing. Then I'm going to add tail feathers. So I'm going to come out and go all the way down in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and connect at the bottom of that wing. So now we have some tail feathers. Next, what I'm going to do is make this little scruffy portion where my bird's head is going to meet the body. Then I'm going to add a beak. So my beak is going to be curvy and pointy. And I'm going to add like just this little smile for my bird. Your bird doesn't have to have a smile, but mine's feeling smiley. Now my bird eyeball is going to be a big circle with a smaller circle inside of it. And I'm going to make then like this little moon shape and leave that part white. That's the little glimmer in my bird's eye. So now we can make our bird's head. So I'm going to come to that beak and skip it over and just round up and come down and meet the bird at the shoulder. And the last part we're going to add on the body is this nice round belly. And I want you to think of a winter bird that's very fat. So this isn't going to be a little skinny bird. This is going to be a big rotund winter bird. So I'm coming down and up and around, and I'll meet that head right there. For our bird feet, I'm going to do 2 lines that are sort of slanty but parallel. And then we're going to add a back claw that curves that way on each of those. And then we can add 3 front claws. So there's my bird foot. Take it or leave it. 1, 2, 3, and then we meet that back claw. Now you can add some floof to your bird. You can give it some flair. So what I'm going to do is add a little line that converges at this point, coming from each of those. And then up here, I'm going to add some loose little scallop shapes just to give my bird a little bit of differentiation on the feather. And then we can come from the meeting place of each of these and kind of come down and make this feather more interesting. And I'm going to curve it here because this is the curvy part of the feather. Maybe I want one more right there. There we go. So this is your basic bird shape. And I'm going to add a branch underneath my bird's little claws that it is sitting on. So I'm just going to go straight and then connect between those claws and come straight down. But because my branch is going to have snow on it, this next part is going to be very floofy, snowy. So I'm kind of drawing a shape like that might be the bottom of a cloud, but it's just the snow on that branch. And then I'll kind of do the same thing up top. So there we have it. This is our basic bird shape. And now you can start adding some different things on this bird. You can add like I did. So I made this little swoop on the side of my bird's face, but you could also make this bird a cardinal if you want it to have like some little something like this, and then that little cardinal eye has the that black section around it. So there, it could be a cardinal. You could go that route, or you could completely leave it alone and let it be a little, like a little robin. You could make it a blue jay with those spikes. You can take it any direction you want from here. You can make it an imaginary bird. You could even decide to maybe do something like this and put a little scarf and a hat on your bird if you want. Here is a simpler version of that. But all these things like this are cute little decisions that you can make about your bird. So mine, the one that I made, I did this little triangle on the side and made it into, I'm not sure what kind of bird, but that's what it looks like. All right, so now it's time for you to paint. All right, so I had a few technical difficulties when I was doing the first part of this video, so I apologize that you didn't see the first part of that process. But I colored the background first because I knew my bird was going to be a little bit darker, and I wanted to do that light color, put it down, and let it dry first. So I did the belly of that bird and the background first, and now I'm coming in and adding the darker color on my bird's head. And you can see I left a little bitty white space between the head and the body because I wanted that to be my bird's those little feathers right there at the bottom of the bird's head. I had several problems with paint bleeding because I wasn't waiting long enough for my sections of my bird to dry. So you'll notice that. And I also talk about, there's one of my problems, and I also kind of thought about, I didn't leave enough of the brown part of my branch showing. It's really hard to get in there with this paintbrush. So next time when I am doing this bird, I'm going to think about leaving enough space to really get my paintbrush in there and paint those little bitty areas. So the very last part that I'm painting is my bird's feet, and I want to be really sure that the areas around it are dry. So I used my little blow dryer to dry those areas really, really well. So I didn't have any problems with that yellow paint bleeding into the branch or the belly of the bird. I tore up a piece of paper towel to cover my bird because I wanted to add some little speckles onto the background to give the environment just a little more interest. So that's a good way to just kind of put a little paper towel umbrella over the parts where you don't want the speckles. And then when that tape came off, I really liked the way my bird looked. I've got those nice white borders, and even though I had some mistakes, I am pretty happy with the way this little bird turned out. I think it's so cute. It doesn't matter that it's not a real kind of bird that you can find in the wild. It's a bird that came out of my imagination, and I'm happy with its little belly and its cute little beak. Thanks for joining me.